Hello. So I thought I would jump on here and say a few words about fierceness and power. And also to respond to, I've got a new image on my website, and I know for some of you it kind of looks a bit out of whack with what I offer, with what I bring. And I think it's very common when we turn towards and talk about these more raw primal energies that it can bring the image of the shadow expression of those energies, and also maybe associations with these kind of workshops where people are doing a lot of pillow beating and catharsis and screaming and shouting and being confronted in quite a hard way. But there is a more subtle way to work with these energies, and I believe that this is really important because this fierce energy, the warrior energy, is one that is very collectively in shadow within our society, and it is an important energy to have access to within our lives. It's very much rooted within the lower centers in our body, within our pelvis and our core, and it's a kind of energy that motivates us into action, into doing what we want to do in our lives. So without access to this energy, there can be a kind of deflation, a kind of flatness, and often a sort of depression where we're not really motivated to do anything. On one level, that's the deflation, and then if this energy is inflated, if it's in its shadow form within us, often there can be a kind of pushiness where we push ourselves really hard all of the time, and it's just totally exhausting. But there can be this middle ground. We can find the healthy expression of this energy where we're kind of fierce with ourselves in that we don't allow ourselves to just kind of sit around on the sofa or wallow in compulsive behaviors, and we really motivate ourselves in a loving, fierce way to do the things that we're here to do. This energy, it's also about taking up your space, about clearly standing up for what you believe in. And it affects lots of aspects of our lives, particularly around sexuality and relationship, and around money as well, the ability to earn money and occupy that space. And often, and I know this on a very personal level because I've had an experience of this in the past, this energy can get very left out in spirituality. So we can choose that, oh, I'm not going to engage with money in that sense, or I'm not going to engage with my sexuality. And if we live in a way where we're not engaged with these lower centers, it's subtly like something is missing, and people around us feel that, particularly potential partners when they meet us. It's kind of like there's something missing. There's like an oomph that is missing within. So it's really important, and when that's on board, there's a kind of safety that it brings as well. So we have this within our collective. Of course, we have the image of how badly wrong it can go when the energy of power is abused. But it's really important for each person that they claim their power. Because if you do not claim your power in this world, other people will. On an external level, we see this. Often the people who claim the power aren't using it very wisely. And on an internal level, if you don't claim your own power, if you don't embody the lowest centers, then this energy, which everybody has this energy within them, then it goes into shadow, and it's often, very often used by the inner critic against us. So if you're out of touch with that energy and you kind of feel like powerless and like there's no strength, often unconsciously there's an inner critic inside who's kind of beating us up and being very harsh with ourselves. So the shadow expression of this energy on an internal level. So what we can start to do is to work with this energy, and this is the key that I really want to bring in this video. The first step to work with it is to notice what you're already doing in relationship to your power, because for sure if you don't feel empowered, there's something that's happening on an unconscious level. And for most of us, there is a young child within us that has really had an experience of a negative experience of this, and is pushing away our own power. And once we can start to see that, we can start to work with that, not in a way where we push away that young part within us and try and get rid of our vulnerability, which is very common when people work with power. There's a kind of like man up, step up, come over it, but to actually be able to hold the vulnerability of how vulnerable it feels to be powerful. And once we can hold that, once we can contain that within us, we can begin to bring our power online bit by bit, not in some dramatic, cathartic process where we try and change the world in one moment, but just little by little. And then we can start to learn the profound safety that comes when we occupy our power. Safety for us as an individual, but also safety for our community and our world. And I think it's really important that we start to see how this can be, to see how good it can be when we have people in power. And yeah, maybe if you're watching this, if you've had an experience of good, healthy expressions of power, it would be lovely to hear that. Post that, please post around what you've experienced around that, because I think we have a lot more examples of when this energy is in its shadow form. And so we need to learn how good it is. And then everything in our system begins to kind of calm down, and we start to really realize the beauty and the golden nature of this warrior energy. So there's way more that I could say about this archetypal energy, and I know this has gone quite long already, so I think I'm going to do some more lives and drop different keys about the warrior archetype within them. And if you're interested in this and taking a deep dive into this, and you identify as a man, then I do have a workshop coming up, which is really focused on this work. So I'll put a link to that beside this video. And yeah, please do share this if you found it useful, and please do post about examples of when you've found healthy power, when you've encountered healthy power within your life.